ISO, IEC, 17025, 2017. General requirements for the competence of testing and calibration laboratories. Clause 6.2. It details about the personnel competence requirements, and authorization and other training requirements. All personnel of the laboratory, either internal or external, that could influence the laboratory activities shall act impartially, be competent and work in accordance with the laboratory's management system. All laboratory staff and external personnel, such as service providers, vendors, and contract employees, should act impartially, and they should be competent enough to perform their respective job responsibilities. All staff should work according to the established quality management systems of the laboratory. The laboratory shall document the competence requirements for each function influencing the results of laboratory activities, including requirements for education, qualification, training, technical knowledge, skills, and experience. The laboratory should have a documented record for each designation detailing the required educational qualifications, required number of years of experience, required technical knowledge, and required trainings, skills for the particular designation. The laboratory shall ensure that the personnel have the competence to perform laboratory activities for which they are responsible and to evaluate the significance of deviations. Laboratory should ensure all the personnel working in the laboratory are competent enough to perform the assigned responsibilities. The laboratory should evaluate the competence of personnel. Records of evaluation should be available. Competence evaluation can be done through replicate testing, retesting, reanalysis of PT samples, spike recovery of samples, etc. The laboratory should define the acceptance criteria for the same and record the deviation from the acceptance criteria. Based on the competence evaluation outcome, the laboratory should authorize the personnel to perform the assigned activities independently. The management of the laboratory shall communicate to personnel their duties, responsibilities, and authorities. Each employee working in the laboratory should have a job description, authorization records to perform the specific responsibilities. The laboratory shall have procedures and retain records for determining the competence requirements. Laboratory should have defined competence requirements such as educational qualification, technical knowledge, required trainings, number of years of experience, skills required for specific designation. Selection of personnel. Laboratory should have record for selection of personnel for each person hired in the laboratory. Training of personnel. Each training provided to employee should be recorded and those records should be available. Supervision of personnel. Each person joined in the laboratory should be supervised to ensure correct performance of assigned activities. Most of the laboratories will supervise the employees until the employee gets authorization to perform the specific task independently. Authorization of personnel. Authorization should be given to each employee to perform the specific task. Records of same will be available for each employee. Monitoring competence of personnel. Continuous performance and competence monitoring records should be available. Monitoring competence can be done by internal quality controls such as spike recoveries, retesting, repeat testing, participation in PT, ILC, review of data generated by employee to ensure correctness, etc. All these records should be retained and should be made available during the audits based on request of auditor. The laboratory shall authorize personnel to perform specific laboratory activities, including but not limited to, the following: development, modification, verification and validation of methods. Analysis of results, including statements of conformity or opinions and interpretations. Report, review, and authorization of results. Takeaway from Clause 6.2. All employees should work impartially and be competent to perform the activities. Define competency requirements. Defining job descriptions and communicating to concerned employees. Lab should have procedure and records of selection of personnel, training of personnel, supervision of personnel, authorization of personnel, monitoring competence of personnel. Examples of non-conformances of Clause 6.2. Laboratory personnel are not aware of the impartiality requirements as per ISO/IEC 17025:2017, Clause 4.1. Laboratory has not defined the competency requirements as per education, qualification, training, technical knowledge, skills, and experience. Laboratory has not ensured the competency of personnel before allotment of testing/calibration. Laboratory staff is not having defined roles, responsibilities, and authorities. Laboratory is not having the procedure as per the requirements of ISO, IEC 17025:2017, Clause 6.2. Laboratory is not retaining the records as per the requirements of ISO, IEC 17025:2017, Clause 6.2.5. Laboratory is not having records of selection of personnel, training of personnel, supervision of personnel, authorization of personnel, monitoring competence of personnel. Laboratory has allotted the job to personnel without authorizing the personnel as per the requirements of ISO, IEC 17025:2017, Clause 6.2.6. Thank you. Happy learning!